Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys, wherever you're listening to. Welcome to episode 8 of the Empower Together podcast, where we have honest, vulnerable conversations that go beyond just fitness and physique development. Today, I've got my wonderful guest, Stella.
Hey.
I've been, following Stella's journey for the last couple of years now. She trains at Muscleworks. Absolute awesome physique. I'm a bit afraid right now. It's quite small. But I've been trying to get Stella on for a long time, and I'm so grateful for her time. So looking forward to sharing her story and what she's been through and her wisdom and how she's now moving forward in her own career with coaching, empowering people to live their best lives and just being an absolute superstar. So, Stella, what brings you to today? Share your story.
Well, a few things actually, because the world is changing, the dynamic of how things are shifting in the world, whether it be your mindset, whether it be your fitness, or whether it be bodybuilding or any sport for that matter. And the fact that when you asked me to come on the podcast, your podcast, I was like, why not? Because you were saying to me that you had the platform and a lot of guys were on there, and I was like, let's mix it up with a few women and go from there. And I do believe that when I come onto a podcast, I want to make sure that I add value, and by doing that isn't just look at me and my biceps, but it's also my mind and how I think and what led me to become the woman I am today.
Okay.
And also what I'm doing today currently to make an impact in the world.
Okay.
As well.
What does it mean to you to make an impact?
Oh, it means a lot. It means that if I can help heal, because my purpose is to help heal the people, the humans of this world, whether that's through fitness, whether that's through NLP, whether it's through life coaching, whether it's through past life regression and tapping into the subconscious mind, Reiki, because I'm a Reiki healer as well, because I feel that some people are still not awake to what there is, but good job that we've got platforms like Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, that if you was to filter the BS, that you could get more information out there than not, and you can become very knowledgeable by doing so. But I feel that where we've got the digital space going crazy, the human connection still needs to be there. Yeah. So I think that's led me to live my purpose even more now and get in front of events and public speaking, which I told you about earlier, and do more of that to have that audience, have that connection, and just make women, particularly at this event that I was at for International Women's Day, feel empowered, and feel that they've got a voice and they are heard.
Okay. What does it mean to be awake then? I have my definition of what that means for myself, but what would you say that means?
For me, it'd be mind, body and soul. Being really, really self-aware as well with your thoughts, your vibration, your frequency, and thinking outside the box and being open-minded to what's out there. Whether you believe in God or energy or source or the vortex, or you're looking at angels, that sort of thing, but also not putting yourself into the society norm, and don't feel no way to challenge a status quo.
Yeah. That's why I agree with that, because when I think about that word awake, for me it's always been a case of awake's going to be contextual to each individual. So awake for me has always been making sure that I'm true to who I am as a person and not falling into society norms. For example, being an Asian guy, and I had to kind of become a doctor, accountant, solicitor, whatever it may be, but I went down the route of coaching and talking about these sort of things, where in our culture, I know in Indian culture it's kind of taboo to talk about feelings and emotions, but for me, awake was I needed to be true to myself as a person. Mm-hmm. How does that translate to yourself? Do you have that similar in your culture, where it's kind of okay, we can't talk about certain things, we have to kind of not, or can we have these voices, or...
There's taboo still exists.
Yeah.
Whether we don't say it so much now, as in the word, but I know subconsciously people still run the narrative of a taboo.
Yeah.
So, you think someone like me with muscles, right? I still go out and people still would stare at me or think I'm a man, or will be like, oh, that look is isn't that too much? Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to do that to yourself? And it's well, have you thought about the human that the body that's in this human, like, you know, how I feel. And, you know, I wouldn't turn around to someone and say, oh, look at you, and start pointing fingers, because equally the people that do that are the ones that need that support, that help. So, and there was one time that I did fight back at someone that did say, like, isn't that too much? And I was like, you shouldn't say that. Because if you were saying to my client and she's struggling with eating disorder or any of that sort, you could have really done a lot to ruin that. So going back to the taboo part, there is a lot in it, and that goes to society, you know, sexual preferences, that goes to what you find fascinating to what you don't, and a lot of people are hiding behind who they are, even on social media. They could be wanting to do something, they don't, because they're like, oh, that's a taboo, or I can't do this, or oh my gosh, like, you know, like, how are you okay looking like that, or you know what I mean, that sort of thing. And taboo is it's huge. But
a lot of what we do and don't do in life is out of fear of what people are going to say.
Yes.
I know this. A lot of my followers will probably know this. Like, I've held myself back throughout my whole life because of when I did try to do this many years ago. I had people laugh at me, and it put me back into my little shell. And I'm very self-critical of myself, and I'm my worst enemy. But it came to a point where I had to just be like, fuck people, innit? Forget what people say, because there's going to be someone out there who doesn't like what I do, someone who loves what I do, but I'm not there to do that for that. I'm doing it for me. And that's literally my narrative since, I think the number I can put in my head right now is when I was 24, 25, and I'm 40 this year. So that was, I pressed that fuck it button then at a young age, and I didn't care. Whatever I did, I didn't care. I was head of head of sales in the corporate division, and they were like, oh, if you go and do coaching, that's not enough money. And I was like, no, I make more money now than I did when I was there. So that's just how small the mind can be, where it's like you say corporate and it's got the bells and whistles, when actually it's not necessarily equally right. And I do feel that when you are driven and you've got the tenacity and you're really focused on, you know, growing your business, and you learn and you guide yourself through it and pay people to help you, there's no way but just to soar with what you're doing. So I had a lot of that when it was like, oh, why are you going to be doing fitness? Like, what, you're just going to PT? Like, what would that? They look like a job. But this is what this is what I always find fascinating. Is like, why do we care so much about monetary value of things, and why not? Like, if it makes you happy, pursue it.
100%. And that's why I go back to my purpose, right? I have to remember that, like, what is my purpose, and what is it that I do? Because when you go out and do your public speaking or whatever that you're going to do, you're not always going to get rewarded for it. So when I calculated, I went to an event on Monday with NatWest. It was a really good event for International Women's Day, and one of the tasks they gave us was write down the things that you do for free. And even write that into hours, and then add that up monthly, yearly, and then so on and so forth. And then you realise that all of that adds up, it does lead to your purpose. So sometimes that trade-off, because you know, theoretically, if you keep doing that, it compounds interest. And then, you know, like the goats of the world always say, the top coaches, the top athletes, you do it time and time again. Repetition, like your seeds will go into fruition. Like it will happen, and people will know you, and people would want to work with you.
But this is it though, like, the more we chase these things like money and stuff, we never get it. But the moment you stop and truly pursue what you're passionate about and add value to the world, the money's a natural byproduct. Like, coaching is a very financially, you know, rewarding career if you are passionate about it. You know, and I always feel like, I always find that interesting. Like, when I first started coaching, my parents were like, what's a personal trainer? And what do you mean money? How much are you going to make? It's only when I showed them pay slips that they were like, my son's a personal trainer. You know, but it shouldn't be like that. It's like, why do we place so much kind of importance on money being something that kind of defines our status as a person? When it's like, hey, I'm just here to make people happy or make them realize their potential. You know, like, yes, it can be a very lucrative career, and at the same time it can't be, but I didn't become a coach become about the money. I did it because I'm passionate about helping people.
Same here.
You know, and for me it's like, that's the reward, and the money is like the byproduct of doing what you're passionate about. So how long have you been coaching for now?
I'd say about 10 years.
Okay, what was it that made you take that leap of faith and be like, okay, you know what, I'm going to leave the corporate job and become a coach? Because it is scary, because when you are come accustomed to a certain wage, your lifestyle changes, to kind of pull back can be scary. So what was that driving force that made you take that leap of faith?
Well, the driving force was I'll tell you a story actually, because this is I don't want to miss this one out. It's very, very close to my heart. When I was in the corporate world, I was working for a particular company. I was head of sales there, driving the leads and the business, and we did a startup. It was a startup. Did very, very well. Still does very, very well. I would go in there, and I would go after work. I'd go to the gym in the morning before I started work. I'd go to the gym. So I'd do my cardio in the morning, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, then make my way into London to work, and then sometimes I might have to travel Liverpool, Manchester, wherever, to Nottingham, wherever it would be, where the brokers were, to go and visit them as part of this company I worked for. And in the evening I'd still come back and still do my strength training. I then got approached by someone in the gym floor at the time and said, you know, you could easily be an athlete. And I was like, what's that? And then there was a time where in between that time, which I feel that I got like a lot of, what's when you get a lot of signs from the universe, like it was like synchronicity, or, you know, things were just falling into place. And I remember walking past a shop, and there was this gorgeous woman like on a magazine, and she had muscles, and I was like, oh, I want to look like that. And this was even before this whole bodybuilding thing was a thing, right? Because we never even but like we was like 10 weeks out from a show, or we never put on socials what we would just turn up and we wouldn't even know who was competing. We would just barely know that there was a show then, and then we'd just roll up and rock up to. So now it's crazy how much it's blown online, because when I did it, when I first started it, there was nothing like that. So she was like, oh, you know, you could be definitely a bodybuilder. You live here and sleep here, so it'll be very interesting, and you can go really far. And I was like, okay. So gave it a whirl and loved it. And then in between doing that and then doing the corporate role, even though the money was very good, my soul no longer belonged there. So I didn't know how I was going to do it. At the time, I was going to use all my money, so it would only be a stretch for a couple of months, and that was it, and then it would run out. And then I was like, you know what, fuck it, I just quit. And I was like, I didn't know where I was going to live, I didn't know what I was going to do, I didn't know how life was going to plan out for me. But I thought, if I'm going to wake up and have that Monday morning dread, like I never had that Monday morning dread, I never have it, I never have it's a Friday feeling or it's a Saturday feeling. No, because every single day it's amazing. Every single day I'm like, I love living my day. I don't even know what day it is, like I don't even know what time it is. I could be up like late and go, oh crap, I need to sleep, because obviously sleep is very crucial, the fact that I'm in prep and getting ready for a show. So I would have to make sure I sleep in longer to make sure I get my sleep. But even that, I don't know time. And I don't know concept of time when I've got a client session. But other than that, if I'm training, doing my food or doing programming, I've got freedom. I've got freedom. Like my diary is not like consists of someone putting in a meeting on agenda for another meeting to have another meeting about another meeting. It's just, and that's what corporate do, by the way. So that's why, like, the freedom I have now. And it's funny because you do get, when you're self-employed, the
peaks and troughs, definitely.
Peaks and troughs, and regardless of what anyone says, you know, always like you're on job, there's going to be, even if you are on job, you still will not get the same amount every single time, or there or thereabouts, right? Depending on where you live and how you get your business. So it got to a point where I had to really like learn quickly, because I didn't know what I was going to let myself in for, right? So I quit that job, handed in my resignation. They were like, oh my gosh, you're leaving us. I was like, yes, I'm leaving today, like now. And then I left, and then suddenly a whole weight just lifted off my shoulders, and then I was like in fairyland for like 2.5 seconds. I realized, oh shit,
reality's hitting.
Now reality's hitting, like what the hell. And then I just applied for my personal training qualification, did 2 weeks there, and then passed it. And then I was like, right, I want to work around London and I want to live around London. And I said that in my HSBC banking days, which was like at least 8 years before that I wanted to do something here in the heart, because I was living like northwest London. So it wasn't actually the heart of like Tower Bridge where I live now. And fast forward, I just that. I made sure a gym facility was around. aka now I'm here at Muscleworks, train people in here as well at times. And I've trained here myself, and then I live here as well. So I said to myself that if I have one more day in the corporate, my soul is just dying there, and and that feeling of riddle and that sick feeling and that like crying feeling that you don't want to go there anymore. It's like I would rather not have that and figure out where I need to go in my next move than have that feeling and stay there where I no longer belonged. My being no longer belonged there.
But this is one thing, like I see this every day when I get off the train station. I see like people coming down the escalator, going up, rushing into work, and I just feel like how we're all just kind of like mindless drones to the system. You know, we're feeding into that, whether it be the time we give them, the tax we pay. But how many of us can kind of do something we're passionate about? Like I've been at this for 20 years now, and I've been here this morning since 6 a.m. and it's now 1:10, and I love it, you know, I'm not tired, but I had that leap of faith in me to kind of do what I did. So if you were to meet someone right now and they were in your scenario, what would you give them as advice to be like, okay, you want to take this leap of faith, what's the tips you'd say to them?
The tips I would say is make sure you don't do it like me and have a lot of money in the bank. So at least have 6 months to a year, just so you really don't have to worry and really think about what bills you have. If you've got a backup, then that's different. If you've got a family that you can go and live with, that's completely different. But I don't have a relationship with my mum and then with my dad, so I'm very much self-sufficient. So for me, it was just at the time I was with the partner I was with, and thank God I had him to lean on. But anyone that's starting out, I'd be like, just make sure you have 6 months to a year. Make sure that you have a backup plan. So if it is that you do want to go and do personal training, don't just go, I'm going to get my qualification and that is it, because when you get your qualification, you're not taught how to run a business. So please make sure you get in touch with people in the industry, and there's loads of mentors in the industry now, good ones and bad ones.
Yeah, loads of bad ones.
Yeah, and preferably just ask around for the good ones, and they will be more than happy to mentor you in terms of, you know, where you want to go and what direction you want to take it and how to actually run a business. You know, Ben Hawksworth, I did a program with him, and he was really, really good, and he really helped me massively, me and my business. And yeah, the consultants. So I would definitely, coach consultant, I would definitely think about going to his academy and starting there, and then going, right, okay, this is how I need to grow a business, this is what I need to do. Because again, and stress to anyone that's starting out, don't just jump and be an online coach. Go in the gym, learn the trade, one-on-one, and make sure you've got bodies to move with and coach multiple bodies. Like, I've been so good at what I do because I've coached all different types of people, and I've trained all different types of people, and I've worked with all different types of people's minds and form and technique. When you're in a group or gym setting with one-on-one client, it's just the best thing. When you see them lift, when you see their form, when you teach them anatomy, it's just, I'm a proper geek. I just love it. And everything for me is an analogy. So I always teach people by analogies, and they're like, oh my gosh, it's like when they're like, oh, I didn't get to have my food for the morning. I'd be like, yeah, but if you was to drive a car, would you forget to put the petrol? You wouldn't, would you? Because it wouldn't be able to run. No, Same thing with weight training. That don't feel that you can just skip your food at times if you know you need to eat, because your blood sugar levels drop, and then you'll feel faint. So, and it's leg day. You need to make sure you're having, right? Yeah. You need to make sure you're having the food to back that up. So I would definitely say, go out there, make it happen, have that bank of money, go and get the PT qualifications. But before you do that, I would definitely find a mentor where you can learn or shadow a top performer in a gym how to run a business and how to train a client or clients and a portfolio. Because I still feel there's a lot that needs to be done with PTs in the gym floor. 100%. Because Mark Holes, he did the what was it, M10, the PT all day event. That was really, really good. That when people were doing that, I heard about that, and I feel that there's got to be a lot of that in the gym settings, because it's neglected. Like to have a qualification, then go, right, okay, go on the gym floor now, and off you go. That's where you see a lot of churning. I've seen a lot of churning of PTs. People don't last.
Why?
Because it's cutthroat.
It's normally a year. You know, like when I started off and I was 18, so I'll be 40 soon. It was like I'd done my level 3 and all that stuff, and I was like, this isn't enough. So I travelled and learned from the best, and
amazing.
And I'm still a student. You know, and back then there was no concept of online coaching.
No.
And like I said, I'm at 20 years and I still love the one-to-one.
Yeah.
And I will never be fully online because it's where I thrive. But yeah, it's a great rewarding career, but it's also a very challenging one if you don't know your shit. Mm-hmm. And people will see through you.
Yes.
You know, so, but yeah, each to their own. One thing I want to touch on, and feel free to share this if you don't want to share it. Mm-hmm. You mentioned not having a good relationship with your mother and father.
Yes.
Talk to me about that. How does that influence you day to day? Like, because I'm big on family. I think, I wouldn't be the person I am today without my parents. And even though a lot of my problems and how I believed in myself came from my parents, not in a bad way, but they did their best to raise me how they could, they also gave me the platform to become the man I am today. So they play a big real influence in my life. But when I hear people who come from like homes who may not have had that sort of relationship, how does that affect you? You could have easily just become a victim to life and just, why did you turn around and say, okay?
It's funny actually, I was at a fashion shoot and a modelling catwalking event last week, and the closing of London Fashion Week, or the week before last. God, the weeks, see, I don't even know what the day is. Yeah, time flies, we're having fun. And someone actually said that to me. They're like, when you just get talking about culture and where you're from, and they thought I was a model, and I was like, no, I'm not, but I will be. And it was funny because they were like, oh, you could have easily swung the other way for what you've gone through. And again, another story, I never met my biological father. I found out when I was 13 that the father that I thought was my father wasn't my father, and that hurt a lot. That cut deep. And 13, you're kind of figuring out who you are, you know, bunking, you know, doing all the madness you're doing, and I really didn't need to know that then. And
I'll say we're still trying to find ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And my mum, she's got paranoid schizophrenia, so she has always been out of mental hospitals throughout my whole life, more or less. She might have been stable a few times, but majority of it she's been inside and a little bit of out as well. So she was a single parent for a long while, and there's 5 of us, and then my sister got taken into care when she was 6, and that was a really hard decision when she got taken into care, and I had a lot to do with that as well. I had to, if anything, go against her dad, and for her dad not to actually take her as a full-time custody because of the things that I put forward that happened with me and him. So that was a lot, and growing up I never had it easy, but I remember when I was in school and the school teacher always asked, like, what would you want to do when you grow up? And I said, I just want to be a successful person. I never said I wanted to be a firefighter or a doctor or whatever it was. I always said that no matter what I get myself into, I would learn it and I'll do it and I'll succeed in whatever that would be. And funny enough, if I think that who I am today, that's literally how I run my life. And growing up, even though once I was in the corporate and this guy said to me, oh, you must have had a lovely childhood because you're always happy. So I started laughing, goes, just if you knew, and I walked away. And then when it got quiet, I sat him down and was like, you know what you said the other day? Actually, it's not. And he was very shocked. I said, and the reason why I went back and told him the story was because I said, happiness is a choice.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I don't care what anyone says.
It's a choice.
It's a choice. I choose to wake up happy. I choose to wake up loving myself. Yes, I have been that person where I thought my self-worth was down the pan. I was ashamed. I've been abused. I've been neglected. I've been stabbed, everything you can think of, but one thing I can honestly say, to my hand on my heart, I've been true to who I am and the person I am today. So I always say this, but it might sound a bit twisted saying it, but my mum is my biggest inspiration, but for the wrong reasons. Because I know what I don't want. And I know who I'm becoming from having that lifestyle that I've had and being neglected and being abused and everything else that I've gone through in my life, right? So, and I've made peace with it, and I've forgiven everyone, and I've let go, because I don't want to have that disease in my body. My body's not at ease, because that venom, that resentment, that's all going to be poison that's going to erupt into cancer, arthritis, or whatever it may be, that I'm going to hold within myself. So I choose not to be a victim of my own circumstance and thrive. And that's why I've got a phoenix tattoo on the side of my leg and my glutes, because I just choose to honour and be the woman that I am today and love all of me, regardless of what I've been through. But it was very difficult because my mum was dyslexic as well. And at times she was a single parent, so she was in the household, it was just me being the eldest, and that was quite hard. And then when she was going through her domestic violence, that was a big alarm bell for me, because I realised that what I saw my mum go through, I then went through, and I thought that was okay when it wasn't. So if anyone's listening to this and they're dealing with toxic relationships, or they're dealing with domestic violence, yes, it's not going to be easy to leave. I'm not saying here like just go, like you can do it. Like what I can say is just really look back at your patterns in your life and go to the source of what it's come from, because your nervous system could be safe that is okay, when actually it's a subconscious mind pattern that you're running on, like a record player. And if you don't look into that and understand where that's coming from, you're just going to repeat the same things over and over again and be like, that's fine, and start justifying why that's okay, because we end up doing that, don't we?
Well, we always
keep ourselves safe.
We always return to the familiar, and even
Yes.
if we know that's not good for us, as you mentioned, like the nervous system, that's all it's known. Mm-hmm. So it's going to continue to go to that space, thinking
Yes.
that that's its safe space, but it's
Yes.
actually not good for us.
Yes.
Change and pulling away it's a massive challenge. Mm-hmm. But like you said earlier about how you could have been the victim, but you didn't become a product of the circumstances.
Yeah.
I can resonate with that. Like many people have noticed about me and my story. Like obviously when I was 14, I tried to take my life because my parents made me feel a certain way, like I was never good enough and I didn't fit in. But then I realised as well, it's like choosing to forgive them because they were doing the best they could with what they have, and realising that I either become the victim and become the very thing I didn't want to be, but you end up, but I can choose to move away and close that cycle. Because as you mentioned, the past life trauma or regression and stuff like that, it's until we close that circle, we continue to repeat the same patterns. And I knew if I was to one day have my own family, that I didn't want that pattern to follow them. So one thing I always try to stress to people is that change begins with us. If we're not willing to take that step and move forward, then we're just going to repeat those same things again in our day-to-day lives, in our family and so forth, and our relationships. At what point was it for you though, when you were like, this is it now? I know you mentioned it was back when you were mid-20s, but what did that look like? How did that come to fruition?
Well, I started all this work. I was at HSBC Bank actually. There's a couple of moments, and now it's all running back to me. There was 2 moments. So HSBC Bank, I was there in my 20s and worked my way up to management. I was there and I wouldn't say an awakening, but a scenario that happened when I was with this ex of mine, and I came out that I'd been abused, and it was by a family member, and he was the first person I told when I was 22 or 23, something like that. So it'd been a long time. you know, and I went through it like from age 6. So from 6 to like 23, that's a 22, 20, that's a long time. And it was funny because all he ever asked was like, oh, is there anything that I don't know? And I was like, anything that you don't know? And I was just like, or like, you know, you just start having a heart to heart of like, what have you gone through? What have you done? What have you done? Do you know what I mean? That sort of conversation. So I then was like, then that just flashed into my head, and I must have told him. It was quite difficult when I did, because he actually turned around to me and said to me, oh, that's disgusting. And that cut me up a lot, and that made me more ashamed than I was knowing that happened, because someone that I loved turned around and was like, oh, how could you have gone through that? And that was difficult at the time, but looking back now, that was the best thing that could have happened, because I then changed the trajectory of my life, and then went back into work, and then I got signed off because I had to go to the police. I filed the case. I didn't go through with it because my sister was going through her adoption and foster caring case, and that's when her dad was trying to take her full time, and my mum couldn't have her anymore because she was sectioned and locked up, so she got taken away from, my sister got taken away from my mum. So a lot was happening, and then I had to choose not myself, but choose, you know, the scenario that was happening in my family, and not let something else be a part of that to make things worse, especially when I'm going to court and sorting out helping with all the issues with my sister getting taken into care. So I just said to the police, look, just forget it. But it's funny because when I started, it's not funny, but this is terminology that I'm saying. When I went to the police, it's crazy how they get someone to come in and take you back and relive the memories for you to pick that out, because I went so blank I couldn't remember anymore. Even though it dropped into it at the time, I went so blank, and then when the psychiatrists were bringing everything out of me, I was like, oh wow, everything I could relive and go through, and it was yeah, the trauma was deep, and it was tormenting experience, but it was one of the best things that happened, because from then I was able to get professional help, and then I started my journey in therapy. I've had all different types of therapy, all different type of counselling sessions. I've had endless amounts of it all, and that's when I was like, I started to have an awakening on understanding myself, knowing who I am, and getting on that journey. And then I started another corporate job, which was Corona Energy, and I went in one day to open up my password, as you do, start work, and then boom, and I must have been about 26 or 27 at this time, and I was like, why is my password not working? But I couldn't remember what it was, and suddenly I went to fight or flight and had a panic attack, and I didn't know where that come from. And when I was going through a panic attack, actually I had another experience where I'd been homeless 3 times. So that was like, I started running around saying, I don't want to be homeless, I want to be homeless, and reliving me being in the park and living there. And one of the managers took me to the prayer room, was like, calm down, breathe, give me some water, and was like, what's going on? And I was just literally in a psychosis state. And if I was talking about it now, they'd remember it. It was so like, that's not my character. I was like, my character, that's not my character at all. So they're the 2 pinpoints of like the point where I was like, right, I need to do more than what I'm doing now to help, and to help myself, because I realised that I am responsible for my life. I'm responsible for my life. It's up to me to take me where I need to go. And like I always say, I'm not a victim of my circumstance. I'm a victor and a victory of where I'm about to go and who I am today. So all of those sort of mantras really reign in and rain home to me because of the bits and pieces that I've gone through. But I also, in this whole spell, there was something in between that where I had ayahuasca, and I've taken that before.
So tell me about that ayahuasca experience.
Yeah, that was an interesting experience. I told you there's a lot about me.
Did it call to you? Yeah. So that's one thing I always say. Like, I've looked into it. I know what it's about, but it's never really called to me. So it's not something I've experienced. But share your story on it.
It's a journey. It's healing. You purge. So people are either sick or need to go to the toilet, cry. You go through the healing side where you face what it is that you need to overcome. And funny enough, when I was on my journeying, I remember when we took the medicine, lay down, and then it all started happening. And then I realised that this that we're in right now, the matrix, whatever you want to call it, is not this.
Yeah, it's all an illusion.
It's all an illusion. So I was like, oh my gosh, like, and then it was like a poof. So that was the huge, juicy awakening in between all of the stuff that was the little bits of it. And then that was when ayahuasca was saying to me, I'm going to be a bodybuilder, and I did. And then I realised when I become a bodybuilder and I started doing the shows, that it was never about getting the trophy. It was all about protecting myself. So my muscles were my identity and sense of protecting myself from protection, like just from people, from any, like, it's my armour. Yeah,
that's it. The physique is your armour, basically.
Physique is my armour. Yeah. So that's the only way that I can explain it, that the physique is my armour. And that's when I had that like awakening that, oh wow, I thought I just did bodybuilding and just did a sport, wanted to get good at it, and that was it. But no, it was my armour. And that's why I'm very keen on, like, when I say like bodybuilding for me isn't therapy. You know, when I train, it's not like, when I've gone through therapy, it's nothing like going out here and picking up the weights. And so it's something, it's a lot deeper, facing your traumas. It's not just counting reps and going through pain and choosing to do that as your therapy. No, it's nothing close.
I agree with that 100%. Like, when I first started training when I think I was 13, I realised, hey, I'm not what I thought I was, and training was where I felt alive. And I was, I had some good lifts when I was young, but then I also realised that training made me feel good, but then when I left the gym, I was sad. So I was dependent on training to make me feel a certain way.
Yeah.
But that's not the source of me starting this journey of healing myself. It was a way to channel that, but for me, it was like, it's what I did, not what I had to do to be happy. So I realised that, yes, a lot of people throw this thing out like training is therapy. Yes, it makes you feel good in the moment, but it's not therapy.
Yes.
And this is me saying this, and like, I am a big sort of like, I cringe a lot at the self-development space because it's very much packaged as this really nice kind of clean, holy sort of thing, where it's actually quite dark, quite gritty, and there's no destination to it. It's a journey. I've been at this since I was 14, and like I said, I'm going to be 40 soon. I'm still learning things every day. So, and it's one of the reasons I was very hesitant over the years to speak like this and do stuff like this, because there's no finish line to it. It's always going to be evolving. You're always learning more because you're peeling back layers upon layers upon layers of yourself. There's still things that I thought I processed that still come up. So training, as much as it is a great tool, makes you stronger, fitter, great physiques, whatever, it's definitely not therapy. And I feel like if we look at health, it should be a case of like, we have our physical health, but you also need to have that emotional side of it as well. And that's where we have a place where we have people we can speak to, we're the right people. I know you touched on like doing that now and being like a life coach and someone who can be there for others. Why go down that route?
I got into, so it was COVID, lockdown, when everyone I think was contemplating themselves and where they are, what they're doing. And I look back on my personal training career being one-to-one in the gym, and I was like, what out there, if I think about fitness and health, that needs more than what it is? In my sessions with like therapy, it's like the therapy for them, isn't it? We're like therapists, right? Even though we haven't got the qualification for it, but you know what I mean? Life things that we talk about and help our clients with mentally and physically and emotionally. So I was like, there needs to be more than that comes with training, because if I get into my client's mind, then the training is like half the battle. then I just sat there and just reflected on that and reflected on the conversation I've had, and it was like, how cool would it be if I was designing a program? So my program now is Elite Femme Founder Framework Method, and that is all about integrating the life coaching pillars within the program, because we need to be equipped with dealing with that. And that's sort of what led me onto the past life regression. But I was doing that with my faith, because actually a step before that, when my auntie passed away, I had questions to when someone dies. It's my first death that I've experienced firsthand, that I've been so close, a person that I've been so close with, oh God, that I was just questioning, why did she die? Why? I don't understand. I just couldn't. My brain couldn't process why. I wanted to scream. I wanted to shout. I jumped into prep straight away, which is the best thing I could have done, because she was with me and I'd done very well that season. But needless to say, that I was just like, why did she have to die? She was 50. In her 50s, like not even old, right? Like 10 years away from me. That's just so fucked up to say. Like she was so young, and like seeing her lose her hair from cancer, seeing the lymph nodes, like just seeing her just deteriorate. And even the day she died, it was like, I'm fine. It was like, it hit me, because she was still so strong when she passed away, and it just happened so aggressively. But I know she taught me valuable lessons, like if in doubt, leave it out, you know, stuff like that. She taught me one that I don't think she realised she taught me was like, when you are going through things in life, don't hold on to the anger and the bitterness, because I believe she held on to a lot that, again, disease, your body is not at ease, so it's disease. She held on to that, and I think internally riddled her. That's what I believe anyway.
I'm with you on that. Stress is the killer. You know, the more we kind of hold on to these kind of emotions like anger, fear, doubt, whatever it may be, it just builds and builds, and one day it just erupts, whether it's cancer, other diseases, or just body gives up. I'm a firm believer that's why I got cancer when I was 23, because I had well, people know my story, but like when I was 26, I just was in a dark place in myself, a lot of like self-deprecating thoughts, limiting beliefs, and all these things, till the day then I just was diagnosed with it. And I was like, there you go, there's your body telling you need to stop. You know, it's the same thing when I had my accident when I was 21, and people know, obviously I was given 2 days to live. I had my fractured skull and a brain hemorrhage.
Accident, what was you on a bike or?
I was hit by a bus crossing the road. So I was at a zebra crossing and bang, rushed to Charing Cross, woke up, I remember vomiting, and the neurosurgeon saying to my father, he's got 48 hours, and I was 21 at the time, and I said, I'll be all right.
How did you feel?
I just felt, obviously I was dosed up on morphine, so I vomited, the pain wasn't there because of the morphine, but and I said, no, I'll be fine. And after 3 days I walked out, and he was like, because I had that faith, but this is going to be out there now. But I believe I created that scenario because all my earlier years I wanted out because I didn't feel like I was good enough. I tried to take my life when I was 14, and I feel like that manifested into that event. So the universe was saying, here you go, mate, you wanted out. And in that moment I chose, like, no, I love life, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to become a coach. I'm going to be some sort of person who can like give hope to others, because I'm not the smartest, I'm the brightest person, but fuck me, I'm the most fucking strongest, and you know, and I believe in myself more than anyone else, and I have this hope in me that I can make a difference. But I hold myself back a lot because of the shame I have growing up, other people's belief in me, until I realised, fuck what people said. You know, and I'll tell you, and I think I've said this on every single podcast, and he never listens to this, and I don't think he's listened to any of the podcasts, but I owe a lot of this to Callum, because he basically had me on the Pro Coach podcast and said, you need to do a podcast. And as much as I tried to kind of never do it over the years, because I had all these stupid sort of beliefs, I had someone I respected in the industry tell me that you need to do this, and I was like, I had to do it. So as much as I am strong and I empower and do my best to help others, sometimes I need that reassurance myself, because the whole one thing I want to touch on a lot, I do this a lot on my Instagram posts about how we're strong, we're brave, we are absolutely amazing, but we're better together, innit? We need each other, and that's why the idea of this podcast was empowered together, because yes, we are strong, all that stuff, but there's no shame in telling everyone, saying I need help, I need support, You know, we need each other, and whatever that means, whether it's relationships or good friends or the gym community, whatever it is, we need people. And that was the whole idea of this podcast: share your stories, because everyone's got something, and we as I wouldn't call myself a bodybuilder, but bodybuilders have this armor. They look big, they look strong. We're all a bunch of softies, really.
We really are, and that's the thing that kills it the most. Is we really are, and we have feelings too.
Yeah.
You know, people look at, oh, you're jacked, like you're just like going around like you're just like, you know what I mean? But we have, if anything, we're too sensitive.
Yeah, well, it's true. It's like the like you said, the physique is the armor, but it's also like, it's a way of masking the pain, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
You know, the bigger we get, the stronger we get. It's just it's building another layer upon layer of that pain that we're not willing to face.
100%, 100%, and I think that's when I look back and think I went to life coaching and did a past life regression because I wanted to become who I needed when I was younger.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say next. Was literally that. So when I was going through all that trauma, that pain, that like self-worth was riddled with just bullshit, limiting beliefs. I remember when I was in JD Sports at 16 telling my best mate Laura, she's listening now, she's going to laugh, I'm not going to amount to anything, I'm going to stay right here. Whoa, like titles late, like I mean trophies later, and a successful business, and you know, now public speaking, and everything that I've manifested and anything that I get to manifest is already coming to fruition. So it is that you've got to be very careful with what you say
100%.
and how you go with that. And I always say manifest, right or wrong, it's still going to come true.
Yeah, 100%. I'm a big believer in what you put out there is what comes to creation. So like, okay, I can turn around and say when I had cancer and accident, it was just going to happen. Yeah. I chose to take some sort of shape or form of responsibility, and I'm the first one to take responsibility for what happens in my life, because in some way, shape or form, this is going to sound extreme because someone's going to come out with some stupid thing to it, but there is something you've done to create this scenario. You know, and
absolutely.
Or shit just happens, cool, but it's up to you how you move forward. It's very easy to be the victim. It takes fucking courage to be a strong person and turn around and say no. It took me a long time to stop and say, you're not fucking fat, you're not, you know, you are strong, you're good enough. It's not just whatever people say, because I always thought I was a failure, and I still think like that, you know, but that's just going to be my battle to go through life. And
and also it's, when you wired your brain to a certain degree, it's just being able to rewire that over and over and over again, right? And until, like, even, you know, there'll be things that I've said to me before, and I'll do like a whole 360 and be like, that's not true. I was like, not today, honey. I look at that voice and I'm like, so I call them monkey fuck voices. So that's what I call them. And I'm like, not today. And they like to bounce around. And I'm like, go down the stream.
But this is it though. That's the kind of the nervous system trying to pull you back to that space, because it's safe. But you're gonna be like, no. Because then slowly but surely, this space now where you're empowered, that becomes your norm.
It does.
You know, like I tell people, like, you know, let these emotions in, let those kind of things come in, but let them go by as well.
Absolutely.
You know, it's a choice to hold on to them. It's very easy to hold on to them, but change is hard. But to be a victim is, in my eyes, just like, why? You know, there's so much to us and so much to be able to give to the world, but we diminish our spark because of other people's beliefs. No one ever turned around and, well, people may have said to me that I wasn't good enough or whatever, but it was me choosing to accept that. Not looking at them being like, that's your perception of me, not my perception of myself. You know, so but not for me anyway. Back to you. I wanted to kind of go into like, okay, we're here now, you're going to step on stage soon. You say you're not doing it for the trophies, then why do it?
I'm doing it because it's part of my purpose too. It's what I wake up for every morning, and I love bodybuilding. I'm obsessed. I'm self-coaching. I like to see my physique improve. I like to see how my training plan's going. I like to see how the food's working out, my steps. I just love every intricate of it and seeing my body morph. And yes, you don't need to go to stage to do it, but I like taking myself to the point where it's like that elite mindset, like that resilience, that you can't have that food, you got to go and do your training and you're so tired and your body's depleted. Like, that feeling is crazy. And that feeling is like, when you can overcome that, you can overcome anything. And I love the fact that I'm in it. And I've been prepping since November, and now it's a long time still in this prep, but I'm enjoying it. And I've done different phases while I've been in it, so it's not like I've just stayed lean the whole time. I'm on that little build-up phase now before I go into my last little cut. And by far, it's one of my best preps that I've had. And I just love, overcoming your mind, because I love the mind. I'm obsessed with the mind. The mind is just a beautiful thing.
If we were to strip away the armor, no muscles, the career, all that stuff, who's Stella?
Oh, she is a sister. She is in love with herself. She's in love with the world. She loves love. And she loves making people laugh. She's infectious, and she gives energy to anyone that she comes across. I'm sure you feel that energy every single time. Yeah. I think everyone does in here.
I've been trying to get on the podcast for months.
And she's very passionate, and she is someone that will stick up for anyone, and have their fucking back, because there's more to life than just putting people under the bus.
I think we need to do a part 2 to this.
I think we should.
But on a closing note, what is the one thing you would tell your younger self now?
Never give up.
Okay.
And Hakuna Matata.
Okay. Someone came up to you right now and wanted to become a bodybuilder. What would you say to them?
Do your research.
Yeah.
Knowledge is power. Power is knowledge. I didn't do my research, just ran into it. Cool. And I've done loads of mistakes, hence why now I can prep myself 10 years later.
But it's, we definitely need to do a part 2 to this. I really enjoyed today. What's the one thing you'd impart to me?
What makes you so great?
What hell? What makes you great?
Yeah.
I love life.
Yes.
When you've been to whatever it is in my life, I've been like suicidal, I've had the cancer, I've had the accident, but something's always kept me going, because I genuinely believe that each and every single one of us is a little bit of the universe. We're not here for just to be mindless drones and adding to the corporate system. No, we've each got a spark, and we need to share that with the world. And I feel like I put myself in such bad places and put myself down, and like I said, going to those dark spaces and made myself feel so small. And I'm like, why? And I never want people to go through the pain I had, because man, life's too short.
And that is just so beautifully said, that, because I always say, fuck them, let them.
Yeah.
If they're gonna say shit about me, do it, because I pay my bills and I don't care what anyone says about me. If anyone knows me, anyone knows I don't give a shit.
And I think we've just got to have the courage to be disliked.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. I want to be anonymous. I don't want to be the same as everyone else. I want to be uniquely made, and I am Stella for that. And I love every.
And I feel like when the world has made you to be unique, why be like everyone else?
Yes.
So
yes.
On that note, I'm going to end this episode 8 of the podcast. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in, but definitely we'll get Stella in for a second episode. And I hope this finds you well. And as I say this every episode, I'm going to be consistent with this year. Fingers crossed. Take care, guys. Bye.